Those are different than these?
They're the replacement fund ones. There's 5 or 6 of them that are going through, 6 of them that's going through the replacement fund, which are 3 of the PD cars, 2008 F-350 for utilities, a 2016 F-150 for utilities, and then a 2012 F-450 for public works.
There are in the supplemental sheet in the second column. So it's going to be items number 12, 13, 14, and 18.
12, 13, 14, 18. So those we are doing this year?
Yes, sir.
In the proposed budget that we're
Yes.
working on.
Okay. Okay. And our vehicle replacement fund is at 1.2 million right now?
Yes, sir. But keep in mind that that also holds all your fixed assets, not just cash.
That's how, what?
It holds fixed assets in there.
Okay.
It's not realized.
Yeah.
It's like your trade-in value, kind of like.
Of all your cars.
Yeah, if we wanted to liquidate, so to speak, if that makes sense.
Okay. Okay, so out of that, what are we actually saying that we have available? If we want to go out and spend every penny we had available on vehicles, what would that be?
I believe it's close to 400,000 right now.
Wow. That's a big difference.
Yeah, $479,926.
480K, okay. Okay. So on these, on the idea of using some of our general fund budget towards some of the supplemental requests, have we worked any numbers on that yet? I guess it's kind of hard because you don't know how much we're going to say, go out there and use it.
Exactly, exactly. So what we usually try to do, at least what we do, is that towards the end of September, I'll sit down with all the numbers that we have, and I'll sit down with the department heads, and if we can afford to buy it with this year's budget, we do.
Okay. And doing that, some of the items like, let's just say the copier, for one thing. Oh, is it not hearing me? Hello? Hello? Okay. So like the copier that we need, some of these items, if we could maybe look at that coming out of the general fund, knowing that if we have a general fund amount, let's say, $1 million coming out of the general fund, then we can go back in there to our proposed budget and take out some of those one-time purchase items, like the copiers, and get the folding copier that I see looks like it's being delayed, folding machine.
Oh, no, we added it to this current budget version,
Okay.
that one. No. What normally happens is once at the beginning of the year that we know what our fund balance ends up at, I can come in front of council and request a fund balance transfer so that we can buy whatever items we need at that point
Right.
that we can fund.
And then,
Once
that
it
being
is-
said, maybe we can free up some money for another employee, hopefully.
Fund balance has to be a one-time.
I mean, if we move some stuff over, some of this, like the one-time item purchases, if there's some things we can move over out of the fund and buy from the fund balance instead of just coming out of the overall tax availability.
Most of the stuff is smaller items. For example, the folding machine for $4,000 is about one of them. The copier is a lease-to-own type of program. It's not a downright out purchase, if I'm not incorrect. Right, Tammy? The copiers are usually a lease-to-own? Yes.
Okay. Okay, and just curiosity, when for lack of a better word, our cleaning crew that we have for the buildings, How long have they been with us?
Tammy?
The one that we have for this building's been with us, we got them probably 3 months after we moved into this building.
And how long has that been?
Let's see,
A few years. Have we
Yeah.
gone out for other bids? Just look at another
we
custodial?
haven't, because we haven't had any issues with them for our building. So, I mean, the price that they gave us, we went out for quotes when they priced it, and they were the best price, and we've not had problems with them. Now, I haven't had anything to do with them and possibly cleaning of the PD, but for our building and the building next door, no,
Okay,
not since then.
okay. I don't have the number in front of me, but I just noticed that it's a pretty expensive operation to do the cleaning for these buildings.
So they clean 2 days a week in this building and the 2 days a week in the building next door. And the price that isn't janitorial includes cleaning, but also some of the supplies that we provide. So the toilet tissues, the paper towels, they provide their vacuum, they provide their gloves that they wear, stuff like that. But the fan full of paper towels, all of that stuff, we provide. And then, of course, your coffee and there's a few things that we charge that account as well.
Okay. All right. Well, that's, and lastly, I just want to say that hopefully one of these days we'll see the point where I would love to be at the point where we have 10 patrol officers on the street all the time. That's my goal. And I hope that happens at some point because I believe in a strong presentation in our city. And I'm going to turn it over back to
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. We'll turn it over to Councilman Bonner next to see, sir, if you have any comments or questions, and then Councilman Oplager, you're on deck.
Yeah, the only one I'm still not seeing an answer to is, I thought the last meeting we said that the projection for the general fund for the end of the fiscal year would be somewhere around 8 million. Is that not correct? Just your estimates?
A little under, it was like 7 point something.
Somewhere right in there, 8 million. So that means if we come in at, let's just pick a number 8. If we come in at 8 million, 4 million of that is the 50% set aside, correct? Our goal.
It's 50% right now would be, based on this budget that we're presenting right now, you would have to have at least 8 million in the, 8.5 million in the fund balance.
Because it's 50% of the budget number. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Which is
So-
17.
So right now, we're well below 50%
That is correct.
because of,
Right now, we're at 50% based on this year's budget, but at the beginning of next year's budget, we need to be at about 8.5 million, which would probably put us a little below budget if we start using some of that fund balance to buy some of the stuff we need.
as long as we keep the 50%. So I'm trying to do quick math in my head. If we had 90 days in there instead of 50%, how much does that free up?
About 3 million.
$3 million. But that would only be for single line item purchases. It can't be for positions because then we would have to budget that the next year or have a reduction of force.
That is correct.
Okay. So has any of the items been identified that could be purchased with, let's just say 2 million of that general fund? And keep the budget at 0.56?
all these on the.
You're asking if council decided to change their fund balance policy from 6 months to 3 months, essentially, what could we purchase with those $3 million or so? That's the question.
And is any of the purchases that are in the budget, some of the items for personnel that are in the budget, would that, if we used this money to purchase those items, would that free up any money to hire personnel?
Yes, I mean, we would move the monies over to do personnel and use the 3 million they're talking about for one-time purchases, right?
So I'm just wondering, I mean, I understand the 50%, I understand what was behind it. I still think it's a little bit high, based on our surrounding communities. I don't think anybody else around us is at that, most of them are at 90 days. And I think that was kind of a shock value to us for a pandemic that we made that change at the time. And I just think that's a place that we might could look into getting some of these people we need. I think we can figure out a way around some of the equipment that we couldn't purchase with these funds, but I'm just not seeing a whole lot of ways to get around some of the personnel we need other than to do that. So I'd really like to figure that question out of what could we do if we use $2 million of the general fund, which doesn't, that even makes it above 90 days. That takes it a little bit above that.
There is not too many major purchases. I don't think there is major purchases in this budget. For the most part, it's reoccurring cost other than maybe the folding machine, the copier. And I believe that's about it as far as major purchases in this budget.
So the first 7 items, what is that, $743,000?
Correct. Those are the things that we could do in this year's budget. I think, remember the number that it looked like we were going to come out to the good was around 800,000. It might have been 850 last time. So as we get closer, we'll know exactly what that number is. So that money either gets moved over to fund balance, or it just gets moved into the budget, or we use it for expenditures that have already been identified. So since the slope mower and the grapple truck and the street sweeper sounded like those were things that y'all wanted to purchase.
I understand those. I'm really looking at some of the ones we didn't identify. You know, some of the stuff
Sure.
like mail folding machine.
No, that's in
No,
there.
that's in it.
Yep.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, the second column's in there. Yes, sir.
FY 2026, or do we strictly look at not included?
Well,
I want to understand FY 2026. That's saying that we're not going to do it this year, but it's going to be in the budget next year.
those are those 10 items or so, the 883, those are included in the draft budget right now.
Okay.
So the
Let's
four,
talk strictly about the ones in the far right column then. Are any of those first one-time?
well, or you do what you're talking about and use that towards that 883 and use that 883 towards personnel.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Because I think some of the stuff looking down here looks like it's, the drone survey equipment, a lot of this looks like it might be emergency management. You know, some of the weather tracking, project management software. I thought that was pretty important when we talked about it. I don't know enough about the management suite to know how much, some of the IT stuff there. The review software, we're talking efficiencies when we start talking about softwares and equipment and things like that. And I see those as one-time purchases, aren't they? Or were some of those leases? Some of that was leases.
So that one will have an annual cost.
If you wanted to, as a $3 million mark, for instance, that second column is 883, the fourth column is 1.6, and then the other one that's not on here, of course, is the TMRS, the USC, and that's, you add up those three things, and that's $3 million right there, almost exactly. So.
I think the last item you just talked about, I think that's real important too. We just keep putting that off and putting that off. That's just kicking it down the can to us next year and whoever's going to be around. And at some point, I just see that hurting us employee-wise. I think right now that's important to employees that are looking to come work here, that are working here. I don't want to jeopardize that, so I'd just like to look at some of that. I just don't think we need 50% if we could use some of that funds to do something else.
Out of the 883,000, only 4,000 is currently coming out of the general fund. Everything else is either through the fund replacement or the utility fund.
Now with, as a clarification there, we are contributing from the general fund $400,000
To the vehicle.
vehicle replacement fund.
Yes, sir.
You could then keep that theoretically in the general fund.
No, we haven't funded the vehicle replacement fund for the general fund for the last 2 years. And that's why the cash that is in there is so low. We need to start funding it.
Correct. So we could use, I think here's I think the takeaway, Councilman Bonner, kind of the action item, Dan, we've talked about that, documenting action items is, one, to see what our policy is in comparison with other cities and see what opportunities there are to change it. And then if we change it, how much money would that open up? And then depending on how much money that would open up, what would be the proposal of what to do with that money?
Yes.
And how would that make the adjustments? And if we could get that heading into our next meeting or two, that would be helpful. Is that
Yes.
what you're looking for, Councilman Bonner?
Yes.
Okay. Dan, Rosie, is that doable as an analysis?
If I may, the preliminary budget is due on Tuesday, the one that is going to be filed as our final budget. So we're basically out of line if I need to do that book because it's not the first hearing.
So the one that's been filed already is posted online. That's the one that starts the clock with the clerk.
Okay.
So you can still make changes even up to the point of the day that you guys adopt it. So if you have an updated one, we'll post it, but it doesn't have to be in its final by that day.
We got some
Okay.
time. Okay. So Dan, you able to run with that?
Can I ask, is that a real possibility that council as a whole would consider dropping your fund balance from 50% to something less than 50%?
Yeah.
Possibility for me if it puts people in positions we
Sure.
need and doesn't, I'm really worried about the jail. I am. I'm worried about taking police officers off the street and having them have to be in a jail situation when we really need more police officers on the street. So that's my only concern there.
Okay. So I think.
Yeah, wait. All right.
Yeah, so Councilman Bonner, we'll have him wrap up now, and then Councilman Oplager will go to you next.
I'm through. That's.
Yeah.
So you're saying to drop the fund balance to 90 days. What would that do to our credit rating?
What I can tell you is whenever we were going out for our last certificate of obligation, it was very appealing to the potential investors that we had that kind of a policy. Right now, we don't have the plans to go out for another CO or general obligation bond right now, so I don't know. I genuinely don't know what it would do. It's not going to do anything to the bonds that we already have because those are already done. It's kind of like if you mortgaged you bought a vehicle or something and then you lost your job after. As long as you keep making the payments, it's not going to do anything.
So the risk is low. It sounds like the risk
Fair.
is lower, right, to do that.
You agree, Rosie?
Or not?
I don't remember who it was, if it was Joe Morrow or our auditors recommending the 50%. I don't remember which one of the two, but one of them had recommended the 50%.
They were very complimentary, and so the other cities around us, all the ones that I know of have 90 days. There are a couple that in practice have closer to 50%, but that's because they're being good stewards, just like we were before we had the 50%, and so they've saved it up because they're waiting on a project. Obviously, if you can save and buy the project with cash as opposed to going out for a bond, you're saving significant amount of money.
Our project's right here. Our project's hit right here, right? So we need policemen, is what I'm hearing.
And I'm not saying we adopt 90 days forever,
No, I get
but
that.
if we could adopt 90 days for the next 6 months to 9 months to
Year.
where it gives us a better idea of what projected revenues are going to be, because that's a big question right now. You know, we can change this at any point, correct?
Once you go down, it's very hard to bring it back up to that. It's like when you go into your savings, you spend half your savings, and by the time you're able to bring it back up, it is very hard.
Yeah.
But if we start seeing revenues come up, it's up to us to save that money, correct?
Yes, it is.
So let's be good stewards with that money if it happens, and we can go back up on this, from the 90 days to, maybe we can jump it up another, half that.
Well, it's like right now, if I'm estimating about $800,000 left over from this year, to go back up to another 4 million, it'd be at least 5 to 6 years.
Well, I
And that's
think
being good stewards for us, trying not to spend all our budget like we do year after year.
the takeaway is if we can get an analysis done and a recommendation from staff, I think that would be helpful to Councilman Bonner's points. Go ahead, Councilman O'Play.
Yeah, so it's just, we are all hoping that by this time next year, Lowe's has been online for a while, some different money's coming in. I guess we're still reeling from just some terrible deals on the table, and it's growing. So if we were able to pull for some money from the fund balance, Manager Dan, yeah, and then that would be able to go for the staff that you need, right? So for the policemen or the jailers, I guess, right? We need what, 4? Chief, ideally, you got to have 4 or 5 for the jail.
Ideally, it would be good to have a minimum of 4 detention officers with a supervisor
Right,
that could
that's fine.
fill in when one has personal leave or sick leave.
Yeah. But but if we were to move some money around with it, we could say keep it at the 56 and then be able to, I guess this is a question, Manager Dan, if we were able to take some money, as Councilman Bonner suggested, out of the fund balance and move it, and would that be able to hire some more jailers and keep it close to 56 cents?
I think what we would have to do is use some of the, if we used some of the fund balance towards maybe the $800,000 worth of capital, one-time capital, supplemental requests this year, and then the other supplemental request, I think we'd have to use the fund balance for those, and then the money that would free up in our operating budget, use that for, because the 5 jail positions is about, what, $450,000? So we would have to free that up in what we're using right now. So I think we take that out of the 800,000 essentially, right? No?
The only way is if the general fund contributes to the vehicle replacement fund directly from the fund balance instead of us using it here.
No, I mean, out of the 743 from this year, not the 883 from next year. To answer your question, I think it can be done. It's not as straightforward as just using, I just want to make sure that's clear. We're not going to use fund balance to hire people. We can't do that. But we can potentially hire people with money and then use fund balance to buy to replace the.
Okay, well, I guess because what the struggle that everybody, what I'm picking up here is that trying to move money around as much as possible, keep it as close to 56 cents as possible, right? Because the city, the sad part, the city has grown, we need more people, but we don't have enough money. All right, I don't know how much the city has grown from last year to this year, and other than the police department, right? I guess, the more people that are here, the more services that they need, and I guess that's the real deal, right? You tell the folks what don't you want to get? You want to stay at 56 cents, move a little money around. This is the services that you're not going to get.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at how many new homes come online each year, in the 700 to 800 new home range, assume close to 3 people per home. So, it's every bit of 2,000 people are getting added population-wise each year. So you're absolutely right.
Yeah, okay.
All right, thank you, Councilman. We'll go Councilwoman Roby Robinson next. Okay, we'll go Councilwoman Sarmiento and then Councilman Rossi Knox. You're on deck. Just as a time check, everyone, we're at 5:39. We have a hard stop at 6.
Oopsie-doo. This was a lot to catch up on. I just need some clarification on the staffing requests, because it says general fund, right? So if we can't pay with them with general fund, why does it say that here?
Just want to make sure y'all understood that that's not the utility fund, because the utility fund personnel, and I think we do have one person in the utility fund, an administrative assistant, or, so what's it called, utility?
So not from the utilities budget that we discussed the other day.
Right.
This is separate from that,
Right,
basically.
just general fund. 'Cause
Just-
that's usually what we're dealing
But
with.
it's
is
not
just-
funded from the general fund balance.
Correct.
Okay, that's
said.
confusing. Okay.
General fund, not fund balance. Correct.
Okay, general fund, but not general fund balance.
You got it.
Okay.
Perfect.
All right, so looking at this here, help me understand. So for instance, the top of it says patrol officers $412,000. Why is there nothing there on these 3 line items?
So, yeah, great question. So of all the different 40 positions that you see, those are the total costs with benefits. So if you go back to all of the PowerPoint presentations that you
Yeah.
got throughout the budget season, that's accumulation of all of those different positions with their benefits.
Great.
So the ones that can be included straight up right now, if you keep fund balance at half a year, 50%, I should say, with a tax rate of 56 cents, we can hire a records clerk and we can hire an engineer.
Okay,
At 56
so what
cents.
this says is that if we didn't adopt this budget with the money that we have now, currently in general fund, we could hire just one person, 2 people.
2 people, yes, ma'am.
That's it.
Yes, ma'am.
And at 57, but that's not considering all the moving and grooving that we just talked about.
Correct.
Okay. Got to fancy it up, y'all. Moving and grooving. Okay. So if we wanted to look at thinning this out, would there be a possibility that we could, instead of hiring 4 jail staffers, we could do 2 instead of requesting the 4? Because that's a fancy jail, but how many people are incarcerated at one given point in time today?
That's really a number that you can't put on because you never know what the day's going to bring.
So at the highest of the year, what has been the most amount of people detained that we've had at one given point in time?
Right now, we're not detaining anybody. They're transferred straight to the county jail. You look on the weekends, they might make 3 or 4 or 5 arrests on a weekend, whether it's Friday night, Saturday night, or sometimes it's both. That's an undetermined number because you never know what you can be. If it's a full moon, I can tell you there's going to be more people.
Yeah,
That's just common sense. I mean, we don't like full moons.
got it.
But-
But right now, hypothetically, not hypothetically saying, let's look at the real data. So right now, how many people are we transferring or have we transferred to county at the highest full moon that we've had all year?
I don't have that number in front of me.
So for me, that's a tough one, because clearly I want to support the police department. You guys know that, staff, whatever it is that we need. But I just can't get behind 4 new positions to handle a jail when we don't even have hard data to say we can forecast how many people will be detained based on the highest of the peak of the moons that we've had to get them there.
The 4 positions are basically one detention officer per shift. You have 4 shifts that
Okay.
work throughout the week, so that's 1 detention officer per shift. So you'd have 1 person actually working the jail per 12-hour shift.
So we need 4.
So we have 4 shifts that work throughout the week.
Okay, so
If that-
4 shifts, and so, so that's $81,000. Is that including everything, or that's just their salary here? Because, yeah, it's coming out to $81,000 a year for jail staff. That include benefits, full ride, full everything? Full comp? Okay, and then the supervisor, we need a jail supervisor as well, so that's a total of 5. And like Manager Dan just said, that's almost $450,000 just for those 4 people. So I'm struggling with that number, and I'd like to see what we could do if we did approve this and we got the 3 million down at the bottom. What's the reality that we would hire 5 people right off the bat and pay a jail supervisor $129,000? It's kind of steep.
Well, the jail supervisor is actually, will be a patrol sergeant we move over. The $129,000 is that's with benefits.
With benefits,
That's with
okay.
benefits. That's not salary, that's with benefits. So, you know, it's, the way I look at it is we try to keep officers on the streets. That's the
Okay.
whole point. And if we have to have officers come in to manage the jail, to take care of the jail, to do the proper jail checks, to make sure everybody's safe, that's taking a person off the streets. There might be times we might not have anybody in the jail, but there's ancillary duties that person could be handling during that time. So, you know, it's one of those things, we prepare for the worst and hope for the best
Yeah.
in our world. So hopefully we don't have anybody in jail.
That would be great.
But inevitably, somebody's going to end up there. You know, I mean,
Got it.
I'm just, let's just be honest and open. But if we have to have officers coming off the streets to check on these individuals, to take care of these individuals, to book them in, it's no different than what we're doing right now, except for the transport time
From here to county.
here to the county jail.
So in that case, hypothetically saying, let's say it is a werewolf moon, and everyone just happens to leave a certain festival and acting out, and we fill the jail, and it's at capacity, then maybe at that point, what would be the mitigation plan? Because you don't have, one person can't handle,
There would have to
Capacity.
be officers in there to help.
okay.
You know, that's worst case scenario. I can tell you, since everybody likes talking about past experiences, I can talk about past experiences. Is where I used
Something
to
must have
work.
came to your mind.
Where I used to work, I'm sorry, in Lake Jackson, is they don't have detention staff there, and it was a nightmare for a day shift officer to come in, especially on the weekends. I hated working that district because all I did was I'd take my gun belt off, go put it in my locker, because I'm working the jail till about 6 o'clock to noon.
Wow.
Trying to get people out of there and taking care of that business. So that takes an officer off the street for 6 hours. Is that going to happen here? I don't know.
Okay.
Probably not. It just all depends.
Hopefully not.
Hopefully not.
Hopefully
but
not. Manvel is safe.
It's the whole point of having the detention staff is to make sure we have a safe detention area, to make sure that we're taking care of the individuals that are in custody, and that we're keeping officers out on the street to take care of the business out on the street. That's the whole point.
Okay, thank you. So with that being said, when I look over here at our patrol cadets, they are coming in at 60,000 each. So a patrol cadet would make $20,000 less than a jail staffer?
They
I
are
don't have the numbers in
part-timers.
front of me.
Okay.
They are part-timers. Your cadets are part-timers.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
so
yeah.
part-timers are making 60,000 a year all in with benefits. Do they get benefits?
No, they don't get benefits.
They get
No.
your Social Security, that's a benefit, and unemployment is a benefit, yes.
Okay,
But as far as health and dental and medical, no.
And to
So they do
clarify,
not get those?
Those are the ones that are at ACC or somewhere else that we're basically paying them to go through school.
That is
And when
correct.
they come out of school, they immediately come and work for us afterwards. Now, Councilwoman asked, so is this number that we see on the paper, is that with benefits or without benefits?
It's with benefits, but benefits includes, for some people, it includes Social Security, FICA, some people includes the Social Security plus the health and all the other things. So the cadets, since they don't have health benefits, right? but it could possibly include next level. So anyway, there's several columns to get to that ultimate number.
Okay.
Yeah, that's just trying to kind of round it up so you can see an overall impact.
So all in all, and then I'm looking at all these staffing positions and looking at the prices and the price tags. Yeah, it's a price tag. And trying to figure out ways that we can minimize this, because I think that a criminal investigator, that's not somebody we already have on staff? Do we or not? Do we not? Sorry.
Yes, we have criminal
We already,
investigators.
so this would be adding an additional
That's an
criminal
additional
investigator.
criminal investigator, yes.
And that would be because we have a bigger facility, or because we're expecting crime to go up?
Well, we hope crime doesn't go up, but it helps us to be more efficient in investigating crimes, and our caseloads on our investigators will drop.
Okay.
We'd be able to spread the wealth, I guess you would say.
Oh, spread the wealth. Okay, and then what's a communication supervisor? Is that dispatch?
Yes.
Okay.
That's correct.
So someone to, are we
There's a lot of
promoting
things-
someone, or are
Well,
we
no, there's a lot of
hiring a
things-
new one?
There's a lot of things that go on in the communications world right now. We have to focus on our criminal justice information system, our TLITS information. We have to run audits to make sure that the dispatchers are entering the data properly in our TLIT system. So there's a lot of things that we have to do on the backside that somebody else is doing right now that the communication supervisors would be overseeing.
So someone else is doing that, but a staff member now, right?
Called the executive assistant to the chief of police.
Who we love dearly.
So
Okay. All right. And then we need a custodian, and then a fire records clerk. Do we have, can you share that? Is that like a fire marshal?
no, basically
fire
what it
department.
is the direction we were going with that is to allow for the fire marshal's office to have an administrative clerk to help them with the office responsibilities, such as keeping track of the records, keeping track of the permits, and the flow of the basic paperwork that comes through their office.
Who's doing that now?
Right now, that's being done by the fire marshal.
Okay. So the fire marshal basically needs a clerk.
Yes.
Okay. And then we need another code enforcement officer.
Yes.
Okay. That one I can see because we're growing, booming, but it would be interesting to see how their time is being spent. Are they at capacity right now, the two that we have?
Yes, they're enforcing not only the code, but they're enforcing the health side as well,
health
which
side.
takes a considerable amount of time.
Definitely. Okay. There's so many here that I have questions on, but for the sake of time, I don't want to be the new trigger word hog at the time. So, if it's okay, if it's okay with Manager Dan, if I can talk with Chief later on to have just questions answered, since we're up on time here. Or I can send an email. Whatever works.
You'll have your assistant send the email.
I'll have my assistant send the email. Anne's operating on a different time zone than we
I
are.
was going to invite you to come visit me in my new facility.
I'd love to do that. When I'll bring coffee and Dunkin' Donuts.
I don't drink coffee.
All right.
Thank you. Thanks, Chief, so much. Appreciate
Councilman
you.
Rossi Knox, we'll go over to you next, sir.
I'll keep it brief because we're low on time here. My opinions haven't changed on the rate, but I agree with Councilman Bonner. That's an excellent idea. I think that staff should really hone that in and look at that. Everyone up here supports the police. Everyone wants a safer community. And so if we could move and groove and shift things as suggested, then I think we can all get what we want. So, thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. So I'll go ahead and wrap us up. We'll see if there's any remaining comments or questions. Appreciation to all of council, staff, department heads, Dan, Rosie. It's very seen that as we go throughout this process, we're doing our due diligence. We're all working hand in hand. We're better together and collaborating on this. So, Rosie, Dan, I know you guys have fielded a ton of questions from us, and thank you for your timely responses and then the follow-ups. It's much appreciated. Want to just make sure that I clarify what my understanding is as to what the budget is in front of us, and then two questions, brief questions. So if we keep the tax rate flat at 56 cents, we're able to give a 3% cost of living to all employees. Is that correct? Okay. I know other government entities are struggling to even do a 1 to 2% for their employees, so 3% is pretty good considering. This also includes, like we mentioned, increased benefit packages for the employees that hit certain milestones. With the work that's been done by everyone on the budget, 2 new staff positions will be added, plus over 50% of the one-time supplementals will be covered within the budget. Is that all correct? Okay. So one of the questions I had specifically was in regards to the hiring of an engineer in our development services department. Joe's and his team are phenomenal. I'm just curious about the logic as to why the engineer compared to a wide variety of other needs. Are we struggling to, just because of the work volume to meet that 30-day shot clock? What's the logic behind that?
So, we definitely have a lot of volume, and we see several projects in the pipeline that's going to come with your drainage-related studies, your traffic impact analysis, just the civil construction plans. And then, if you all know that our city engineer is Dan, and we are trying to cover a lot of stuff that previously Dan used to do, where we're trying to kind of allow him to do more important stuff and have slowly transitioned the city engineer tasks and reviews and stuff down to the assistant city engineer and another engineering staff member, and have the city engineer be in a position of just vetting stuff. So previously, Dan used to do a whole lot of that, and we are trying to cut that, plus the volume. So those are the 2 primary things that's leading us to believe that we would need another engineer on staff. We have customers walking in, we have residents walking in with engineering-related questions and stuff. So we have our assistant city engineer has to step out, meet with them, discuss issues and stuff. And then with all the construction projects that are ongoing with some of the larger subdivisions, every time something is submitted, they are on a short timeline for the most part, and for us to provide excellent service, we try to do our reviews as soon as possible. So having that additional help allows us to balance all the projects, because the engineer is not only involved in just the plan review, they're involved in some of the zoning related reviews, some of the initiatives that we do in terms of, say, amending our regulations requirement, the design criteria manual update, which happens every year. So they're involved in those initiatives as well. Like, for example, right now, we are also working on the impact fee study and a couple of other things. So if we just have one engineer who's managing your day-to-day development review and those initiatives, and also allowing Dan to balance his engineering stuff as well as city manager stuff, it just becomes too much for one person to handle. So
I appreciate you
having another individual, again, we get things done on time, level of service, like I mentioned during my presentation, and then it allows the one person who's handling all of this to be not overwhelmed and be able to be focused, more accurate, more effective in everything that he or she is doing.
Well, thank you for that presentation, Joe. Your team does a phenomenal job, and I don't want to, by any means, diminish the work because it's very important work. What I like that you said is, Dan is involved in a lot of different tasks, and because we're not going to look to hire an assistant city manager within this budget, if we can find ways to open up some of his time, that's an important thing to do. I would love to see, if this gets approved with that position, some KPIs around their productivity that we want to see so we can make sure that we get value from that position. I would also concur with, Councilman Bonner taking a look at that fund balance, seeing what we can do there, what opportunities, what are the risks. We have to understand that if we take it on, so very supportive of that initiative. And just to echo the points of Councilman Rossi Knox, I'm looking at this layout here. This was, Dan Rosie, when I talked about understanding the narrative and the story and kind of the expenses, what you guys have provided helps tremendously. So thank you for hearing that request. Thank you for providing this, and to Mayor Pro Tem, thank you for asking the questions and you guys answering those, because it allows us to see and understand. But for Councilman Rossi Knox's point, just to get just 4 positions, I cannot justify raising the tax rate by 2 cents in order to get there. I thought a lot about the budget theme as better together. What does that mean? It means that we balance the needs of our staff, which we value deeply, with the realities that are faced by our residents. And if we can explore other opportunities to get that staff, as Councilman Bonner brought up, while keeping that tax rate flat, because this is a historic low rate for us, I'd love to see us stay there while we do those things. So I appreciate everyone's effort, everyone's work, and taking a look at that. Very important decisions coming up, a lot of prayer, a lot of reflection. But I know that as we work together, we can all make sure that we're pro-police, we're pro-public works, and whatever the tax rate is adopted at doesn't mean that we're anti-police, doesn't mean that we're anti-public works, and we just have to collaborate moving forward and executing on the budget that's ultimately adopted. So we are at time here. Tammy, next steps, we don't have a public hearing at our next meeting, but, we do have a public hearing, and the public hearing is for...
One of them is going to be the public hearing on the proposed budget.
Okay.
The other one is a public hearing to ratify the cost for the permits for the development services. That's a requirement as well. And then you're going to set the adoption date for the budget. You have to take action after that hearing.
Okay, perfect. So we should expect a public hearing coming up. Any other comments or questions from council? Hearing none, just as a reminder, I believe it's this Thursday, we'll have the notice of a possible quorum for handing out food to the football team. Is that correct? It's posted? Okay, it's posted. So Tammy, if you could just send out a reminder to council just to make sure everyone has it on their calendars there. Thank you to Councilman Bonner and Councilwoman Sarmiento, you guys as providing the funds to give to the football team there. That's very much appreciated. And with that, I will make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second? We have a second from Councilman Rossi Knox. All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion passes unanimously, 7-0. Thank you, everyone.